Hey Nuggets, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be showing you how to do a morph, an updated version on ibispaint. And I think this is going to be a full in-depth video. I'm not sure yet because I have to also show how you repaint your Avi's head on it. So future me here, I've edited out editing my Avi's face because I didn't really do much and I was kind of frustrated and confused. Plus it is a mesh and I'm not used to repainting meshes, even though it should be easy. And also she did have a clean base and I didn't feel like I needed to edit that much on her face because she still looked the same and how she did when I put her head on this picture. So yeah, I'm sorry I didn't show that part, but I will at some point on another separate video. But enjoy this full morph tutorial where I change the hairstyle and everything else. And yeah, I'm using a mesh for this video because someone did ask me to do a mesh version of this tutorial, so that's what I'm doing. I have already added my avatar's head and there's a wig here. I'm gonna explain that in a sec. Also, if you did not watch my last video where I was showing you how to get a different background, because of course this isn't the original background of this picture. The original background was really dark and black and it was pretty easy to take it off. So if you're not sure, make sure you watch that video and then come back here on how I created my own little background at the moment. And also the way I added my avatar's head, you won't be able to do this with every picture that you choose to morph on, because usually you would have to remove all of your avatar's head so that the hair on the actual picture is still showing, and then you repaint it. But since her hair is already it's basically not in a style, so it's easy to just put my Avi's whole head in here and just make it fit. With that being said, I was like, you know what, if you have a wig that you bought from someone else, like for example 7 Mils on Instagram, who is mostly popular for doing this, and or someone else that you know that makes really good wigs. For example, I made my own recently and I decided to just add it on. The quality looks terrible because I had to shrink it on here, so I decided to put it on here, and it really makes this morph come together. And to make it match this hair color more, I could change the style of the tube top that she has on and add in something else. So that's how in-depth I'm gonna go in this tutorial. I'm gonna show you how to do all of that in this video. If you don't have a wig that you bought off someone else, if you want to make your own, you can do that. I will show you how to do it. I'm gonna make an updated tutorial on how to make a wig like this. And also I'm gonna show you in this video how to make your own hairstyle to add on to your Avi. It can be anything that you think of. I did not show how to put on your Avi's head because I assume a lot of people already know how to do that. If you're not sure, then you might have to watch my older videos where I show a billions of times how I put it on. It's not difficult. Just cut out your Avi's head and just carefully move it onto the picture and angle it right as well, and you're good to go. First step is we are going to start off with the skin, and we're going to make a layer under your Avi's head, and we're going to make it a clipping mask. And then what you need to do is eye drop the main color of your Avi skin. So for mine it's like this color right here, and then the brush that we're going to use is the Dip Pen Soft brush. And now you're going to carefully go around your Avi. You're going to carefully go around the skin, and I'm going to come back when I've done this. Alright, I'm back and I've finished. It shouldn't take you that long, but you should take your time at the same time because You don't want to get paint over this clothing right here, because when you're done with the skin, we're going to get back to this and we're going to go over it with a new pattern to match whatever hairstyle or color, well, hair color that you did on your avies, so it just makes everything look nicer. Right, when you're done, just lower down the opacity, but not too much, because if you do it too much, then the real skin tone peeks out, especially if your skin tone is more darker. It's not going to match, so make sure it's not too low. About this much looks okay. If you still feel like you need to edit the skin tone a little bit more, you can go on brightness and contrast. And there you go. So now you can continue doing the actual repainting process. So make a new layer and make sure every new layer is a clipping mask to go with it. And now you're going to eye drop the next shade, which is like medium dark. So I'm just checking before I actually use it, and I'm going to use the blur tool to see how it looks like when it's mixed together. Yeah, that's perfect. The blur tool is what I'm going to be using to mix the skin tone, and I'm going to be using a mixture of the liquefying tool to stretch out any colors from when I'm shading. I do this because it's better than using the smudging tool, because the smudging tool doesn't work for me. Okay, the blur tool, since this is the main tool I'm using, I have the opacity down a little bit to 69%, and my brush size, it depends on what area I'm on, so yeah, make sure you change that a few times. Also, this picture, I know I'm saying this really late, but I'm going to have the transparent version of it in the description if you want to use the same picture as me to practice your morph along with me. So I will be putting the color right here. Now I'm gonna start blurring. Sometimes you might want to go over it a little because you want it to be fully blended. So it should start coming together like this, and you're just gonna make new layers every time with the same color. Sometimes I'm gonna let you know when I'm going down a shade to keep giving it color, because that's what you need to do with morphs. You can't just paint over it and then use one color to shade it and then start highlighting. It doesn't, sometimes it looks okay depending on the person, but sometimes it's just not. You gotta give your morphs a lot of detail. Also, another reason why I'm gonna keep making new layers is because when I'm using the blur tool on areas like this, because I want to get sharp lines and detail and not blur them out. So I'm going back on that spot that I didn't do. Then you can merge that layer because we didn't do much. And on this new layer, I think now I'm gonna go a shade darker. So I created a little shape right here because on the morph there's a shadow under her neck right there, or her jawline, and I'm recreating it with the shade, and as I go on it's gonna get darker and darker and then come together. If you're not sure why you gotta go darker in layers, is because when you blend the color in, you can tell that it doesn't look right, so you gotta go do it in layers. It's the same thing like you color in traditional art and you start off light and then really harsh, it's not gonna blend right. Now that I've done that, I can go way dark. We're not too dark, but I can go dark to the point you can actually see some shadows basically. So I'm using the liquefy tool again to spread it out like that. This time it's a bit more noticeable. Coming together pretty nicely. So I just need to add more on this side. So I'm just cleaning up this. So now what we're gonna do is start highlighting. I want to use color right here, and I'm going to lighten it up a tiny bit, not too much. And I'm going to put this color right here. Now it's going to start looking somewhat realistic. Now we can add in some brighter highlights. But not on the same areas, like just around here. So at the moment, you're basically done with the skin. Now I can actually move on doing the clothing right here, which is actually, I think, my favorite part. So for this, you're gonna have to go on Pinterest or Google and find your favorite pattern. I'm gonna show you what I have. Before we get into that though, we're going to have to use a base color to go over the picture. So it can be any color, to be honest, and go over it. So I will be back when I have finished this. Now, when you're finished doing this, make sure you have lowered the opacity and cleared any areas that went outside of the actual clothing. But when you're done, this is the next step. On my Pinterest, I have a bunch of patterns saved for certain edits that I would do in the future, and now I'm trying to pick one that goes with the edit that I'm doing right now, and I'm thinking this one, but I'm gonna change the color of it. When you've put it in, put the clipping mask on, and then you're just going to make it smaller, duplicate the layer, and then the next thing you're gonna do is just use the airbrush eraser and boom, there you go. Then merge those together. So I said I was going to change the color. Now the next thing you're going to do is basically in the same steps like I did last time, and you're going to make a new layer, use a clipping mask, and start shading it. To shade it, I'm going to eyedrop this color right here, and I'm going to darken it a little bit using the same brush. I think I'm going to lower down the opacity of this one, just so I can see how I'm gonna shade it. So basically, like, I gotta put color around here, which outlines the boob area, and here as well. Okay, I'm gonna put the opacity all the way back up, and this is me creating creases. As you can see, it's coming together as much as I can make it work, and I'm gonna go a shade darker. So now you're basically done with the shirt. It's looking real cute. Now when you're done with all of this, you can actually start moving on to the head. So like I said, you can add on a wig, which makes everything quicker, because when you do that, you're basically really finished. To make this hair match, I'm actually gonna change the color right here. I hate when ibispaint saves the last setting I used. I'll leave it like that for now. I'm going to do the base of the hairstyle that I want to do. I gotta watch these ads, so I'm gonna come back. So I told you that I got these custom brushes from Pinterest. The ones that I use in this video will be in the description. And if you're not sure how to get custom brushes, it's just these 3 dots right here, and you import QR code right there, and it's that easy. I have a separate video for it before I had videos where I use custom brushes, just in case anyone was confused. Make sure you're on a new layer. I'm just gonna duplicate this instead and then flip it. Oh yeah, I always forget, make sure you merge the layer down after you've done that. So if you're like me who never gets this right, just use the liquefy tool and get it into the middle properly, like that. So that's done. This new layer is just the ponytail part of this hairstyle. So I've reduced the opacity a little bit. This is what it's looking like at the moment. So I'm going to use the airbrush again, create a fade like I did on the baby hair tutorial on ibispaint. Then on a new layer under that base, we're gonna use the brush, the hair 12 brush. I'm pretty sure that's what I used in the baby hair tutorial. I'm just doing basic swoops. And then just duplicate that. It's gonna look weird at first, but just and then merge those two down. It's not looking that cute, but from far away it does a little bit. Now that is done, can merge it down to the base of the hair, and now let's make a new layer on top of those two hair pieces. Alright, so I had to scratch the whole thing. It's literally the next day I'm recording this, and also the day I'm posting it. I was struggling with the hair. It was actually frustrating how I could never get the hair right, how I want it to be on Ibis, even the fact that I got new brushes. But I finally decided on which brush is really good for it and looks similar to what I use on Procreate, and it's hair wires. Like I said, it's going to be in the description, so don't be a dumb person and ask me what brush I used, because it's literally right there and it just makes me not want to reply. Because did you even try to figure it out? So try to get the brush a little close to the root, and then do the same thing on this side. Now I'm using the eraser in the airbrush normal and just lightly blending it into the hair color. Sometimes I hate doing this because the way it fades out looks retarded, but I try. Well, that looks as best as I could do it. And now I'm gonna continue on the ponytail. Try not to overlap it like I've done a few times, and then do that again. Basically what you do in the eraser is just to blend this detail into the hair color. Basically, this is the end of the video. I'm sorry about not being able to repaint the face that well. I mean, she does look a bit different from last time, but it's still the same. I really don't repaint meshes as much as I do with normal heads on iView, but I'm practicing, so it's okay. I hope that you like this video though. The most important parts that I like to cover was just how to overlay the clothing on the picture and repainting the skin. The skin definitely is my favorite part of this, so I'm glad that came out looking cute. And yeah, if you're new to this channel, please subscribe and turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in my next video.